Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Genre. I'm your host, Elyse,
I'm Katy.
and today we are talking about Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. This is Katy's first true romance book, and I'm excited for you to tell us all about it, Katy.
Okay. I'm excited to discuss it and whether or not I think it's a romance book, but okay.
Oh, yeah, thank God I made the presentation I'm about to give. Okay, I thought that maybe you would be sassy about this, so I made a presentation. All
Oh,
right, but before we get into it, we have some things to say, and the first is that Taylor Swift and Genre are on the same publishing schedule
who knew?
because who knew? Who knew we were going to have that in common?
Who knew
Be-
us and Tree Payne were like on this 2-week cycle
yeah.
together?
At least this time I didn't make you wait until 11 p.m. after a 2-hour podcast to record. At
Yeah,
least
thank
this time
you.
she dropped her. Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
so thank you, Tree Payne, for dropping your big news at like noon today.
Yeah, in
But
the middle
Taylor
of the
Swift and
workday.
yeah, but like I got anything done afterwards. But Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift engaged in an
Woohoo!
absolutely gorgeous little photo shoot that they posted on Instagram,
Very,
interrupting everybody's day
very
and making it
Twilight-esque.
impossible to work. Yes, Katy, the first thing Katy texted me, she was like, "This is giving Twilight." And
Flowers,
it was.
arches.
It was very millennial. Remember last
Yeah.
week when Amanda was like, she's just too millennial?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
like correct.
In
And
the
I
in the
said, that's fine because
dictionary,
she leans in.
wherever the word millennial is, there should just be a picture of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, just doing hard hands.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
I mean, I'm so happy. And also, much like 2 weeks ago when we got the New Heights album drop and podcast, I'm so surprised we know.
I know. This was very surprising to me. This is something I did not think she would ever make public. I mean, who knows when this engagement actually happened? This could have happened like months ago, maybe last year, but I did not think we were going to get a public announcement. Maybe like when they were having their first child.
Yeah, or I assumed after they were married,
Yeah.
something would happen. I don't know. She was
Yeah.
just so private with Joe, which was
Yeah.
her other very long term relationship, that, I mean, I was just like, I think they're already engaged. I just assumed they were married. I assumed they had kids.
No. Yeah, I
Like,
know.
that's how, I just assumed they were never going to say anything. We would just never know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And now
But
we get a milestone. We get an
yeah.
engagement photo shoot.
Yeah. She's keeping us on our
Taylor.
She's keeping us on our toes.
Yes, she really is. She's like, I know you just thought this was an album rollout cycle, but actually, I'm also engaged.
This is the year of Taylor once again.
Yeah.
Every year.
Once again, every year is the year of Taylor. I would love to know exactly when this happened, but I think that's a step too far. I don't think we'll know then. I don't think we'll know. Like,
Who knows? Maybe someone's going to identify where that flower arbor is and be like, it's in Michigan. I don't know.
yeah. Or like the jeweler's going to run their mouths or something like that about the ring, and we'll know that he like bought it 6 months ago or something. Let's be honest. The jeweler signed an ironclad NDA.
NDA. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. No one's saying anything.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, we said last week that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are a romance novel, and I think it's only fitting that they get engaged the day that we record your first romance novel, Katy.
Okay, but like, was Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry not a romance novel?
It was a romance novel, different type of romance novel, but a romance novel.
Okay.
I would argue we can get into it. Actually, shall I give my presentation?
I suppose so. Please.
Okay, because I think we can really get into it a little bit.
All right, let's get into it.
Romance is something I feel strongly about for several reasons, which we'll get into now. Okay, get ready for it.
Oh, gotta go in a. Oh,
Here it is.
wow.
Romance novels and why we love them.
Okay.
Subtitle primer for Katy. First,
Oh, wow.
romance novels have a long history. In fact, I'd go ahead and say, outside of the Bible, romance was the first novel. Okay, I mean, obviously in this one here, I said from Fabio to cartoons, tenets of the genre remain the same. Okay, for listeners, I have a wonderful collage of Fabio covers Pride and Prejudice, an OG romance novel, one of the best. Uh, Things We Never Got Over, The Takeover by T.L. Swan. Love about this is Allie Hazelwood. Allie Hazelwood, a woman who doesn't stop writing. She's releasing something like 4 books this year.
Oh,
She wrote Bride. You
yeah,
like Bride, and she's
I read that. I liked that.
yeah.
That was good.
And then she's releasing another one that's actually like mostly Omegaverse, which we're gonna read because it's like
Okay.
gonna be a mainstream Omegaverse, which I'm interested in.
Okay.
Emily Henry, to your point, is a romance novel. So allow me to give you the tenets of the genre,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
The first one is that romance is the A plot. Sure, there may be a serial killer, a family business, a job interview, or a best friend's wedding, but we are there for the romance. Everything else supports the romance. Okay?
I see. Okay.
Okay. The happily ever after is a non negotiable. So if you're confused when the book ends, whether or not the main characters are together or are going to make it, that wasn't a
Oh,
romance. Okay? It's not a romance. It's literary fiction then. It's a non negotiable. It should end with a happily ever after.
okay. Okay. I don't think I knew that, but okay.
There doesn't have to be smut, but there should be smut.
Okay.
Okay?
I do have
Now,
questions about smut, but we can get into it later.
yeah, we'll get into it later. These are the tenets, the tent poles of the genre.
Okay.
Now,
Honestly, wait, can I just say that Fabio cover?
yeah, it's
Our
unbelievable, isn't it?
our Oma had those
Oh, yeah.
Fabio covers like all over the house, and
Mhm.
now I'm like, girl, what were you reading? Yeah, Oma was smutty. I love it.
But you know what she said once Opa died? Whenever anybody asked if she was dating anybody at the nursing home, she went, "Why would I deal with a man ever again?" And I said, "Exactly, Roma. Exactly right." So I think she was just getting
Oma.
her fix from the Fabio novels,
Yep,
and good
Oma.
for her.
Yep, she had a. Yep, she knew
She was a
what was what.
practical woman.
She was
She was a
very
practical woman.
practical.
All right, next. Romance novels are just saying the quiet parts out loud. And
Yeah, which sometimes I feel like they should just stay quiet. You know.
Incorrect. What romance novels are doing is that they're embracing the universal need for humans to be seen, chosen, accepted, and kissed like hell.
Huh. Okay.
She may be a big city girl with a preoccupation with heels and Taylor Swift, but that small town cowboy with trust issues can't help but fall for her because she's seeing something that no one's ever seen in him. He's seeing something that she's never seen in herself, and
Mm,
that is ultimately the hook of every romance novel. That's why people keep coming back.
okay.
Okay. The second part they're saying out loud is that it's basically a free high. A romance novel hits you right in the brain grapes. It's dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, right? It's a free high. And this high comes from the next part, which is that they are predictable in the best way. You may not know exactly what's going to happen, but the beats are established.
I avoid romance in most things that I'm watching or
You
reading.
watched
Now,
Bridgerton. I put this on here because you watched it. It
hmm,
made you kick your feet like a silly little girl.
it did make me kick my feet like a silly little girl, but that is because they are so cute and I really love the outfits. But who does the whose brain chemistry is that supposed to be altering the reader's brain chemistry?
Yes, yes, while you're reading it. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Okay. Your brain is broken. Okay,
I think my
next.
brain is broken.
And the next is that they are predictable in the best way. They have very clear beats. So, and that's part of what makes you feel good because you're able to watch it, you're able to read it or watch it and not particularly think very hard about it. You might not know exactly what's going to happen, but you know it's going to hit certain beats as
Okay.
you go through it, right? It's like comfort
Okay.
food for your little brain grapes.
Mac and cheese, but horny.
Yes, that was my sum. That was my supporting point on that point.
I like that.
Next.
Okay.
All right. So here is a big slide that I put together for you, Katy, about the romance beats that make this so comforting. Okay. Romance is one of the most formulaic genres. So first, there's some sort of meet cute and setup, aka how we wish it would work in real life. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like where you
Yep.
wish you didn't have to use the apps, but
Yep.
somehow go into bars work and you do meet a guy there.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, there's banter and chemistry building.
Yep.
Every single time. Fighting is foreplay. They got good banter. Also sort of how we wish it would happen in real life.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then there's conflict. Something means that they can't bang yet. It could be internal. It could be external. It could be that it's, the best man in your brother's wedding. Oh no, the main character can't get with them because of
No
X, Y,
reason.
and Z.
Yeah.
It could be more serious than that, but
There's always
some sort of conflict. That's setting it up. Then there is an almost kiss. So, and that's the interruption we both knew to expect and hate it when it happens. They get so close to each other. And then a knock on the door. There's a text message. There's something that breaks them apart. Tension is building. The next is the breaking point. All right. But there's no choice but to get it on now. It's
Right.
the tension broke. It got too high. It's time. We have to suck faces. Otherwise, death will happen. Okay.
Yep.
Then there's the dark moment, which I have in here, AKA the third act breakup, TM. Doesn't have to be a third act breakup, but something happens. This is the dark moment. Then there's the grand gesture, right? Not subtle. Okay. It's not subtle. Someone's running across an airport. Someone is holding the boombox on top of their head. Someone is throwing an elaborate party. Whatever is happening, it's elaborate. It's grand. It's very important.
Yep.
And then finally, the happily ever after, which is by the reason we are all here.
This leads me to believe that men should read romance books.
Yes. Yes. I mean, men should be reading more, period. Sorry, men. But yes, romance books in particular would really do them good.
Yep.
Nowhere in these beats is a point where you should text you up.
You up is not in this timeline. If it's not in the timeline, I don't want to hear it.
No,
I don't want to hear
on
from
this slide. Yeah, if you'd like, we can put this slide on the internet. We can put it on our website if we'd like to help the men if they happen to find it.
We should absolutely. If you have not gone to our websites, www.genrepodcast.com, we'll definitely put that on here so you can view it.
Next slide. Your favorite trope? Romance did it first, and to prove my point, I have gone pretty deep into proving this. Okay, first of all, enemies and lovers, Pride and Prejudice. Get out of here. Banter is foreplay, Much Ado About Nothing, Shakespeare. Forced proximity, The Tempest, also Shakespeare.
We're going back.
Marriage of Convenience, Emma, also Jane Austen. Friends to Lovers, I did When Harry Met Sally. It's a classic. It's not quite as old as,
Shakespeare?
Willie Shakespeare. Yeah. And then fake dating, I say Pretty Woman.
That's fun. I like fake dating.
Yeah. So any trope you like in any book, romance did it first. That's where it started. And then I have an honorable mention here, not quite a trope, but it's an important thing to mention. Book series where the side character is like the main character in the next book. That's a romance thing. So Bourbon and Lies, for example, the next book, I think it's Bourbon and Secrets. It's the brother, it's Lincoln. So he gets the book and then aces the book after that. A series of books about a group of friends. One of the side characters gets the next book. That's why, when something like Romantasy with Akatar, Nesta's book, A Court of Silver Flames, that was really where she, this is really where they're going into, I would say, more romance. It's still a fantasy book. It's a romantasy. But a romantasy is when romance and the fantasy are both A plots. So she's doing a lot of romance, but it's a high fantasy book. There's fairies. Romance and fantasy are A plots.
Okay, I got that. Oh,
Second to last slide.
Oh,
but I'm just gonna
look. Wow, Elyse is breaking it down by the numbers.
Romance by the numbers. Okay.
I'm surprised there's not an Excel sheet in here.
I tried to put in a pie chart. It didn't fit. So I did this instead. First of all, romance does $1.4 billion in annual sales. It's the largest book genre in the United States. It outsells everything, sci-fi, fantasy, mystery. And it's been that way forever.
Wow.
Romance has always been the number one genre. That's why Fabio got as famous as he did.
Yeah. There's money in romance.
Money in romance. 18% of the overall fiction market is romance.
People are sad.
People are looking for
love that they don't
fantasy.
have.
No. Katie, let me go back a couple of slides. Uh, that is not the point. The point is that the universal need to be seen, chosen, and accepted is very important. It's
Oh,
that it's the ultimate fantasy to like live in
okay.
this world where
Yeah,
the
yeah.
things that are like it's fantasy fulfillment. It's like reading about fairies, only you're reading about the mythical man who is emotionally intelligent and can use his words. Somebody who
Okay.
knows what a grand gesture is, for
Yeah.
example.
Yep.
Somebody who can banter without being mean, right? It's fantasy fulfillment. It's filling this need not because people are sad, but because the world is too complicated and happily ever afters are hard in real life. That's why we read romance.
Huh. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Back to the numbers. All right. Predominantly women authors and readers. 82% of romance readers identify as women.
Not
This is a
surprising at all.
it's a women dominated field. Should be more men.
Yeah,
I think
should be
things would
more men.
work. Should be more men.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. All right. There's a massive output of romance novels. Over 7,000 new romance titles are published each year.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And then it's diverse and global. It's the number one genre on Kindle, with international markets growing fastest in India and Brazil.
Interesting. Okay.
I know. That's an interesting fact.
Yeah.
There's a huge crossover reach. So romance is what dominates like TikTok and Book Talk, and it drives a ton of backlist sales. So Akatar, which again, Romantasy, it's a little bit of it's a crossover title.
Yep.
But like something like Icebreaker, which is just a straight up college romance. Like
Okay.
that is not a new book, but it continues to be one of the best selling books because it
Ooh,
has all of
okay.
this reach. They're kind of evergreen a lot of the times. And then finally, reader loyalty. 50% of romance readers buy more than one book a month.
Wow. Those
At
people are
least one book a month.
spending money.
It's true. This is a very lucrative genre. Next, and my final slide. Why we can't quit romance. And this is a picture of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce that I took from her Instagram. They give us hope, Katie, just to drive this home because you were not a believer. They give us hope.
Yeah.
They're a fantasy and they're a mirror. They make us think about what we're doing too. They're fun to roast and love. Okay. And that's because they're basically a horny Hallmark channel.
I put that in my notes.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
So, in conclusion, romance is an important genre that often gets pushed aside and maligned as female frippery. And I just want to say that's bullshit.
Okay.
It's bullshit. Keep your standards high, ladies. Keep reading romance. We all need a little Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce in our lives.
The jock and the nerd.
Yeah. Shall we go to the beats? Me cute. He calls her out on the podcast. I assume there's a lot of banter and chemistry building just based on the way that they talk to each other on
Yeah.
that podcast. Conflict? She's Taylor Swift and he's Travis Kelce. That's the conflict that makes things hard. I'm sure there was a couple of times there was an almost kiss. Let's assume there was a couple of times that they wanted to make out, but the paparazzi were out the window. The breaking point where the tension breaks and they must get it on. The dark moment
Ooh. What was it?
can't
What do
be
you think
short.
it was? The tour? I don't know.
I don't know. He kept going to the tour, though. I mean, we're never going to know. That's their
No.
business. But I would imagine it's the paparazzi still. I feels at some point they got the best of him and they really had to sit down and talk through it. All right. The grand gesture. I mean, he's done a bajillion grand gestures, and so has she. They've grand gestured each other, quite frankly. And now they're engaged to be married happily ever after. It's a romance book. She even did that. It's the gym teacher and the English teacher getting married. All right. And that is my presentation on romance. We will put it on our website for anybody who wants to see it. Katie, it is time to dive into Bourbon and Lies, a Bourbon Boys book by Victoria Wilder, which is, of course, a romance.
So can I ask you, this is what I was wondering. Is a romance, like, is there a difference between a smutty romance book and a romance book?
A smutty romance book is just a type of romance book.
Okay, so it's not called something differently.
No. A romance book can have smut or it cannot have smut.
Should we read the summary of this book?
Yes, we should.
All right, so the summary of Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder is in Fiasco, Kentucky, there is one rule: never fall for a fox brother. Any woman who did ended up dead, or so the rumor goes. Townies call it a curse, but I've lived it and I won't survive it again. I'm not a cop anymore, but I've seen enough danger to know that Lainey Young, the beautiful stranger who just showed up in my small town, is running from it. She's lying about where she came from and what she's doing here. I don't want her near my family or the quiet life I've made for myself, but my brothers have other plans. Now she's everywhere, working at my distillery, living in our guest house, calling me cowboy, and skinny dipping in my horse trough. But it's the way she dishes out attitude from that pretty mouth of hers that has me wanting things I've sworn to myself I'd never want again. I should push her away, forget how her lips taste, and ignore how she makes me want more out of life. Oh God, reading this out loud makes me feel weird. All right. When her past shows up and mingles too closely with mine, her lies begin to unravel. The rules don't matter anymore. I mess up, dig too far, and get too close. Only two things have the power to keep her safe now: bourbon and lies. Bum,
Bourbon
bum, bum, bum.
and bum bum bum. If we don't bum 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 after a after a summary, was it even a good summary?
This is an excellent summary, I must say.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
So,
this.
well, the reason I picked this one, like I said in my PowerPoint, right? A romance novel is that romance is the A plot,
Right.
and everything else supports the romance. And I picked this one for your first straight smutty romance because there was a mystery crime serial killer subplot, and I
Yeah.
thought that you would like that, and it would keep you interested. So romance novels very often are in like get subgenred. So it can be like it's a mafia romance, it's a thriller romance, it's a second chance at love, it's a friends to lovers, enemy to lovers. Like there's these tropes that sort of like subgenre this. This is subgenre as a cowboy romance, I think, on Goodreads. Which I
Is
mean, they're
it?
not cowboys. Yeah, they're not cowboys, but
Listen,
it is.
there's a lot of fucking horse riding in this. So
Yeah, I mean they're from Kentucky. I mean they're not herding cattle. They are making bourbon, but
they're
clumsy
on
comes up.
horses. They're literally
Yes,
on horses. So,
yes.
okay.
Like Hapley's literally a horse princess.
Love her.
Or
Yeah,
yeah.
love that character.
So okay, yeah. So that's the genre. It's a romance book. It's a cowboy romance. It has some thriller in there. Also, witness protection romance books, like Witsec books, are like another subgenre of romance. I wouldn't call this a witness protection romance, but it has that sort of flavor to it.
Yeah. I,
That
do those
usually,
exist? I don't know.
yes, they do exist, and they're usually like a bodyguard protectee sort of thing. Yeah.
Wait, so is The Bodyguard considered a romance?
Well, you know what? It doesn't have a happy ending. So I don't know. I think if that was a book, I would call it literary fiction, I guess.
Wait,
Romance.
it does have a happy ending.
No,
Well,
they're not together at the end. I mean, everybody's alive, but she does. They don't get together at the end.
no, I'm pretty sure they do get together at the end. Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner? Her sister dies, maybe.
I thought
Please
they
hold.
leave each other, but then does she run back to them and she goes, and I. Maybe.
They didn't end up together.
That's what I mean. So that's why. So I would say that's not technically a romance. It is a very romantic movie, but not a romance. They did not end up together. There was not a happy ending.
That is fucking bullshit. Change it. Change it.
Says the girl who said she doesn't like romance. She rewrote The Bodyguard in her head, and now she's mad.
Oh, absolutely. I will rewrite the ending of something if I don't feel like it lived up to my expectations. And to me, Whitney Houston, Kevin Costner have been together since the 90s. So that's that.
Let's do one line plots.
Okay. Do
You want to do yours first? You do
All right,
yours
I'll
first,
go
Katy.
first. All right. City bombshell hiding from danger finds herself tangled in small town drama, a broody cowboy, and the kind of passion that sets beds and barns on fire.
That was pretty good. That's pretty good, Katy.
I know it's not really a barn, but like I had to put that in there.
It's
It sounded good.
like a rick house or something, but whatever.
Yeah.
There was it was barn-like for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, here's mine.
Okay.
Not quite a cowboy with girlfriend trauma and bourbon barrels to build is no match for the big city charm and damsel in distress energy of the world's worst protected witness. She was poorly protected. Okay.
But
She was
that was so many B's in one sentence.
I know, that's why I had to say it a couple of times. I wrote myself
She
a tongue twister for my one-line plot.
she was poorly protected. I have thoughts on that.
Yeah. So, the tropes were obviously cowboy like, it's not a cowboy romance, but it is a cowboy romance of some sort.
You know,
Um,
I think I remember when you were talking about this book that you were mentioning a cowboy romance. I'm actually surprised that this was the book that you ended up talking about. I don't consider this a cowboy romance. To
no.
me, as in every book, there's these stupid nicknames that people give each other. And to
Mhm.
me, that cowboy was like just a nickname that
Yeah.
they had. But I mean, yeah, they did ride horses, but I didn't consider them like yeehaw cowboys.
Yeah. No, they're not. It's
Okay.
definitely a small town romance, big city girl ends up in a small town, sets everybody upon their heads.
Sets them alight.
Yes. Has, again, this weird witness protection angle, but she was a very poorly protected witness. Serial killer, which is
Forced
always fun.
proximity.
Forced
Forced
proximity,
proximity.
because they were living right across from each other.
Love that.
But I mean, sort of grumpy sunshine, but she wasn't like
I wouldn't
relentlessly sunny by any means. He was just very grumpy.
yeah, I do not consider this grumpy sunshine because I despise that. And I didn't despise Lainey as a character.
I know Lainey was good. I think she was a little sassy. There was good banter. She was a little bit of like she was a bit of a sassafras. I liked the friendship between her and Hadley, and just
Ugh,
Hadley in general. But
I'm honestly, if does Hadley get another book because she sounds like she's got one hell of a life.
do you want me to tell you?
I think I kind of know. Well, don't tell me. No, don't tell me.
Okay, so did we like the book? I mean, I'll go first. I love the book, obviously. That's why I wanted it to be your first romance novel.
So there are things like I really like certain parts of this book.
Yeah.
I loved the setting. Like I thought the setting was awesome. Small town, but just the idea of being in what I imagine is like a bourbon farm just seems really cool to me. Like I feel a lot differently about this than I did Great Big Beautiful Life. And I'm not entirely sure why, and I think it's because I didn't like those characters, and I liked these characters. I thought they were good characters. The setting was picturesque, is
Yeah.
all I could think of. I felt like in my mind, I was creating this little bourbon farm. The thing that I think romance why it doesn't really do it for me is that the stakes are not high enough. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's like this is low stakes romance, but I feel like I get taken out a little bit. Like once again, I was definitely more interested in what was going on with the serial killer aspect of this story.
I mean, that is why I picked it for you.
I don't know. I like the brother aspect. I like that they were three
Mhm.
brothers because like we're three sisters.
Yeah.
I thought
That's a pretty common trope. Like the sisters or brothers is pretty common.
well, honestly, this is a found family trope, I would say, as well. I mean, Lainey doesn't have any family, and now she's literally thrusted
That's true.
into this enormous family that she now has,
Mhm.
is now a part of.
The
And
Fox family.
the Fox, oh, come on. Like the names,
I know.
perfection.
Well, also,
Perfect.
there was a couple conflicts in this book. The conflict for Grant was that the Fox brothers are cursed. Every woman they've ever
Yeah.
loved dies, so he doesn't want to do it again. He had, the flashback that started the book where
Fiona.
Fiona died, turns out, from the serial killer just making his way back around. And so we learned that the wife of Lincoln died, the grandmother died, the parents died, and Ace won't do it at all. So, like, he doesn't have
Yeah.
anybody. So that was like the overarching conflict that stopped Grant from jumping in right away. And then, of course, the
Yeah.
conflict for Lainey was less about Grant and more about the serial killer chasing her and not being able
Yeah.
to tell the truth. But
But I will say, thinking about this, I'm like, damn, okay, that is trauma.
yeah,
You guys do have some pretty shitty things happen to all these people in your life. I definitely could get behind it. So, yes, I think I liked this book in that maybe we'll get to ratings at the end, but I thought it was interesting. I think it was the setting. The setting, I was like, "Phew, let's go to
Yeah.
Kentucky. Let's go Kentucky
Wouldn't
right
you love to
now."
go for a distillery tour?
It sounds amazing. That
I know.
sounds like I'd even maybe ride a horse, ride a
I know.
cowboy. Okay. All right.
The well, Lainey was also, like, an event planner. You would love to be running the events at some sort of bourbon distillery.
That truly is my dream. I can relate. I'm from New York City. I could be running events. Like, I
Yeah.
get this. This could be me.
Yeah.
But
Could be.
this to me, it this is a Hallmark movie. And so
Yeah.
I think what I'm understanding is I like Hallmark movies because they're predictable. They always have a happy ending.
Mhm. They're a
They're
classic romance. They hit all
they're
those
like
notes.
they hit every single note that you outlined in your PowerPoint. But for some reason, reading them is very different than, like, watching them for me personally. But this to me, this was sexy Hallmark.
Yeah, sexy
Yeah,
Hallmark. It's exactly what it was.
yeah,
Yeah. You know
sexy
what I
Hallmark.
think? I mean, obviously, I loved it, but this was a good example of something that I don't think is talked enough about when it comes to romance books, and that is how much I learned from them. I learned a lot about bourbon. I learned the 3 things that it had to be proper Kentucky bourbon. I learned how it was made. I learned that you had the barrels had to be oak, and they had to be
Yep,
charred, and they had to be handmade. I think half of the random facts inside my brain come from romance novels because these women, these authors are doing research. Like, this is a
yeah,
researched book. Of
yeah.
course, I think she took some liberties when it came to witness protection, but, like, the bourbon industry, she
Who
did.
knows?
There
Who
was, like
knows?
there was deep research involved in this. I learned a lot.
Wait, didn't you also say I was showing you a picture of a dog and it was a Cane Corso? And you were like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I know all these 75 things about this dog." And I was like, "Literally,
It
why?"
and it played a very large role in a romance book I read one time, and
Yeah,
so I learned all sorts of things. So you because romance books are just same
yeah,
beats in different settings, the settings become very specific.
yeah. I
It's like
agree.
it's not just like you just don't have a romance book in New York City. You have a romance book in one restaurant in New York City. And while you're in there, you're learning how to make whatever cuisine they're doing. And all of a sudden, I have these fun facts about Thai cuisine that are just in my brain because they stick in there because I was learning it while I was reading. And all of a sudden, I can make a pad Thai with the best of them. Like now, I'm like, I want to go into a bourbon distillery
Yeah,
tour. Let's go to
I do.
Kentucky.
I totally agree with you.
So, what do you think this is giving?
I
We already said the obvious one, which is the Hallmark movies.
sexy Hallmark.
Sexy Hallmark. Yeah.
This is giving sexy Hallmark.
Yeah. And good romance books will give sexy Hallmark. I do think that
Okay.
there was a serial killer in this one. So I do think there's a bit of a it's almost like sexy Lifetime.
Wait, no. You know what? It's Hallmark, Movies and Mysteries, I
Yes,
think
it's
is their
Hallmark.
other channel. Yeah, those ones this is would be on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries if it was
Yeah.
sex movies and mysteries.
Yeah. I think the reason why you're more interested in Hallmark, like watching a Hallmark movie versus reading a Hallmark movie, is because you can watch it pretty passively, but you can't
Yeah,
read
yeah.
passively.
Okay.
Like,
I think I agree with you. You can yes. Yes. So, I think because I don't read passively, I think that there are people that pick up comfort books just to
mhm,
read. I don't do that.
yeah,
I'm a very intentional reader, so I'm only reading what I want to read when I want to read it, and I have already found myself picking up other books rather than this book first as I was reading it, you know?
it's just well, I'm gonna make you read more. I feel like I think I can find one that that really hits you right in all the right spots, but I think
We'll
this one
see.
was close. What
Okay.
about scene stealers? I did think it was in the description that you read, but I did like it when she was just like in the horse trough, just drunk in the horse trough after after going to Midnight Proof, which is a bar I really want to go to, and just eating gummy worms, and I'm just like, this feels very cool.
You know what? I think because I really liked Lainey, like, I thought she was kinda hilarious, also relatable. I love that scene. I thought that was a great scene. One of the scene stealers that I that actually I was a little confused about is it's a little X-rated.
Mhm.
Um, in the beginning,
Like,
when Grant first meet it, I don't know, like, sees her from across the cottage and then has to, like, run inside and relieve himself. But that one was, like, 50 pages in. Like, that I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, dear. What does Elyse sign me up for?" I was totally shocked about, and then I had to go back, and I I thought he did it in her cottage. I was so confused, and then I had to go back and figure that I was like, "This that seems like sexual harassment," but I figured it out, and he was by himself, which was fine. But that was something that kind of shocked me,
Mhm.
for sure.
But
But
it was a bit more of a slow burn though. Remember, you didn't like how in the big like Great Big Beautiful Life where they like kissed right away. Like this one, he was doing that because he it was this conflict. He
okay,
couldn't get involved.
so when I first read that, like I said, it was like 50 pages in. I was like, "Oh god, like what is this book?" And then I couldn't believe it. It was the slowest burn, and
Yeah,
I very much appreciated that, which I think was another reason why I was like, "Okay, this book has my attention. You're not giving everything away in the first 100 pages." So, I loved the slow burn in this. I thought that
yeah.
was great.
And I did think back to the whole Fox brother curse. It was like a believable reason
Yeah.
why they didn't want to, like why he didn't want to get involved. You know, why he was being monk like.
I and that's what I said, fucking Nesta. I think about her a lot, and there are certain characters that I'm just like, "I don't what's your trauma?" You know? And this one, I was like, "Oh, this is, like, really, really sad." Like,
Oh yeah, like
this is
a
very
woman he loved just died in his arms,
yeah, like,
murdered by a serial killer.
totally understandable. Well, he
Yeah,
didn't know it was a serial killer
I know,
at
but he
that
knew
point.
something was off. He knew
He
something was
did.
off. He had to quit the force.
Wait,
Bec-
wait. The other absolute I can't even believe it took me this long to even discuss this. The other absolutely amazing part of this book was Julep the dog.
oh my god, I can't believe I knew this was going to be. Julep was great. Julep was unbelievable.
Literally a hero. This dog was the cutest dog, the
Mhm.
world's best dog. She was everything.
I love books where there's a dog main character because it gives like the perfect third party. There's never any conflict.
Yeah.
The dog is
You
just being a matchmaker.
I mean, I have to say that's a little surprising coming from you, who is
I
not
know
an
because I'm not
animal
really a dog
lover.
person. You know, I just don't want to personally own a dog. I like them. I just don't want them. It's a very different thing. I think animals are great.
I
Uh,
don't know. Well, well, well. Julep was truly the hero of this book, if you ask
Julep was the
me.
hero. Julep saved the day. Julep and that
She was so
snake
cute.
near the end
I
literally
love
took down a serial killer.
I love animals.
I know.
They're the best.
Uh,
We don't deserve them.
no, we don't deserve them. Oh, you know what I did think? Not my favorite was that Lainey is sort of like pre-existing conflict that she felt really bad for. So she was the wedding
Oh,
planner, and her one of her ex-boyfriends came to her to get married, and he was like flirting with her the entire time, and then she finally gave him to the flirting in a. You should never give in to flirting
in a
in a storage unit.
storage locker.
Should never do it in a storage locker. And then when she realized he like wasn't going to leave his wife, of course, like he didn't really go that far. They just had like a kiss, and then he was like, "Thank God you're cool with getting it on once, and then I'm just going to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
marry my wife." And she was like, "Wait, no, I'm not cool with that. That's not what I signed up for." So nothing went further, but she also felt so badly about that that I was like, "You did not need to feel badly about that. That was that man's fault."
Oh,
And
no,
that's of
yeah.
course what Grant said. But like she felt so badly about that that she thought that she wasn't good enough for Grant. And I'm like,
I
"No."
know. I didn't even honestly, I forgot about that until you just told me it, and I think the only reason it's even mentioned is because that guy comes back in town and happens to see her
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
at the midnight proof. God.
At midnight proof. Well, we know is one of my favorite parts of this book, though, is that
Tell
there
me.
is no third act breakup. The third act is the serial killer coming back. So
Well,
the darkest hour wasn't the breakup. Once they were together, they were together.
they were always together, but remember when what's her name? B calls her witness protection agent. I don't know,
Yeah.
a US Marshal,
A U.S. Marshal who
calls.
was definitely, I mean, I think we were supposed to feel like she was doing her job really well by keeping it off books, but it felt like she was not doing her job well because she just put this woman in a well-known tourist attraction
But
in
also, okay,
Kentucky.
like, personally, that was a plot twist for me. I did not see that this US Marshal was Fiona's
This
mom of
Yeah,
Grant's previous girlfriend.
yes.
Okay, whoa.
It also sounds like she was, she had to, like, leave
Yeah,
Dell,
she kind
another adorable small town character, love Dell.
yeah, he was really cute.
She had to leave Dell because she was basically a woman possessed, She couldn't stay in small town law enforcement. She had to go fed. She had to go fed. She had to figure out what happened to her daughter.
Which honestly is relatable.
She was just chain smoking cigarettes
I
too, and,
love
like,
that.
that's
I
not
love
something you
that.
see a lot in books anymore,
Her
and I'm like, "Y
cloves.
yeah." Like,
I
clove
wonder if someone
cigarettes.
I wonder if someone in Victoria Wilder's life was a clove cigarette smoker. That feels personal, you know?
It does feel like her grandma smoked cloves or
Yeah,
something.
I love that. I love that part of it too. I don't know. It just honestly, these characters all felt very relatable. Um, wait, what did you say was your favorite
Oh, that
part?
oh, that this there was no 3rd act breakup.
Oh, but
So
remember when Grant or when B calls Lainey to say they know where you are, essentially?
Mhm.
And it was because Grant had Dell look into Lainey with his law
Yeah.
enforcement contacts and I don't know, raised flags somewhere. And so
Mhm.
this guy knew where she was going. That was when she was like, I need a minute. Like, I think that was like the third act breakup, but it wasn't actually a
Yeah.
breakup. It was just like oh gosh, there's conflict.
But at that point, he was like, "No, but no, wait, I know. I'm sorry. This was my
Yeah.
bad." Like, there wasn't, like, a conversation. He's like, "No, that was my bad. I'll go
Yeah.
with you. Let's get out of here."
That
So
was
sure,
very
there was a
sweet.
moment where yeah, she had to, like, take a second, but he was gonna go. He'd leave those barrels behind. They take Julep, obviously.
Leaving those Wait, speaking of the fucking barrels, remember when he goes to Ace and he's like, "How do I cash out?" And they're talking about the business, and I was like, "This isn't small town fucking bourbon. This is $1 billion business."
Yeah, yeah, it's not so it's the biggest bourbon they're the biggest bourbon producers in the United States, biggest and
There
best.
there's money in bourbon.
There's money in bourbon.
Why I laughed out loud when I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, oh, $1 billion bucks." Yeah. Love that. Okay, yeah.
yeah,
Hey, Grant Fox.
yeah.
I
Oh, and
get with you
I
too.
loved Grizz. I loved that the first you were introduced to Grizz, and it was like, Grizz knows 2 things: bourbon and women. And we're like, and that's how the Fox brothers roll. I could just see him like a spry but older man in a
Yeah.
book club, like getting all the gossip, because also small town romances, you know this from Hallmark. There's always like the gossip crew.
The Mean
And he
Girls.
was the gossip crew. It was
Yeah, I
him.
know.
Grizz
Yeah.
was. And I was like,
I
that's
loved it.
so great. That was so, so fun. So what did you think about romance slash smut? Because the romance in
Okay.
this book is also the smut in this book. What did you think?
Okay. So I thought the romance part of it, minus the smut scenes, was great. I like I guess comparing it to the only other romance book that I ever read, Great Big Beautiful Life, it doesn't even compare. Like this romance was way better, way more interesting, way more of a slow burn, way more tension. The smut scenes were so smutty. Like
Yes.
I was fast forwarding through.
Oh my gosh, no. So, like, I felt
Yeah.
like I was so glad that, like, this was your introduction to smutty smut. Grant was like, he was a classic dirty talker.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
he was
wait.
and I
So, wait. So, oh my god. So I also because, I feel like I'm always on a deadline with this podcast. I had to download the Audible, so I had to download the audiobook, which I also really appreciated that Grant and Lainey, so like the male female characters were played
Mhm,
by two different voice actors.
yeah.
So
This
I
is
like
actually a
that
really good
piece of it.
audiobook.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
liked this audiobook. But no, no, I can't be hearing that smut out loud. It's like those memes that you see when you get into a car accident and you're just like lying there and your audiobook is still playing and it's just like the filthiest stuff. I was doing my nails and I wanted to listen to the audiobook, which is something that I always do. And I was like, oh, actually, I can't do that because I know they're about to have sex and I'm in the middle of the house. Amanda's there. She's on work calls. Like, what?
And
I
you
can't be
don't have
listening to
headphones.
this.
When I was going into the office and I would be, like, listening to books, it was my greatest fear that
That
for
that would
some
come
reason my head
undone.
like, my Bluetooth would disconnect and then, like, it would come out and I would just be in the office being, like, with a deeply descriptive, like, sex scene. Oops, sorry, it never happened, but there are times where I'm like, "What happens if I'm connected to a Bluetooth speaker in the house?" Like, often, it just automatically connects
Oh my
me,
god,
and
could you
instead of
imagine?
going on TikTok, I, like, go on Audible, and our mother is right there. She would be scandalized. But honestly, would she? I feel like so mom reads romance books, but she reads clean romance books because she
Yeah,
doesn't like
yeah.
it when they're too smutty. No, nothing wrong with those because that's what she prefers. But I think she's read a smutty romance book in her day. I think she's downloaded the wrong Kindle Unlimited romance book,
I bet she
and I
has,
think she's
unfortunate
and
like,
I think she's gotten a taste.
so, like, this to me was too smutty. You know, like, listen, to each and everyone's own smut levels, but I feel like I get taken out of the story when I'm just like, "Whoa, where oh, what happened here?" And so I feel like I have to, like, fast forward through that because it makes me feel silly inside.
Yeah,
Or when
I
I'm
just wanted to.
listening to it in the car,
Oh,
I'm driving down the highway, I'm like, "Everyone can hear this." What?
it
Like,
is when
everyone
it's
can hear
out
me.
loud, when it's not in a
Oh,
headphone, and it's particularly hard. I also just thought, just back to the romance for a second on the smut, I thought the chemistry between the two of them was very good. I like a female main character who can give like banter as good as it gets.
yep, I
Also, she was
agree.
learning a lot about bourbon. I was learning a lot about bourbon.
And who doesn't
She
love
was falling in
bourbon?
love with the dog, like I was falling in love with the dog.
The
Like
dog
so,
was falling in love with her.
I know. So I think there was love all around. Love all around. I think it was really good. I think the romance was great. I think this was a really good first romance book for you.
Yeah, I think that it had enough extra.
Yeah.
I'm, like, thinking back on it, I'm honestly the only thing I can compare it to is Great Big Beautiful Life, and, when I think about Great Big Beautiful Life, the only thing I think about is, like, um,
The Crazy Woman.
the crazy woman, and, like, that's the storyline that I think of, whereas here, I'm definitely thinking about the bourbon, but I'm also thinking about these 2 people, and I
Yeah.
liked their banter, I liked their romance. I thought it was they had good chemistry.
Well, you had a game for
Yeah.
us.
Okay. I had a game. So, since this book was all about bourbon, I thought, what if we came up with cocktails for a couple of the characters of the book? So,
Okay.
Grant, Lainey, Fiasco the town, Fiasco,
Okay.
Kentucky, and Grizz, the grandpa, because he's cutie and we love him.
Yeah, he's a cutie and we love him. I think that
Okay.
Grant is just bourbon on the rocks.
That's that's what I said. I said
Yeah.
bourbon neat. Yep. He's a bourbon neat boy.
Yeah, he's definitely a bourbon eat boy.
Okay. Okay, wait. So I think Lainey is a spicy margarita.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think she's a spicy margarita. I think because she has sass,
Mhm.
she's a little bit sweet, she's a little spicy. I think it's like a fun mix of her
Yeah.
personality. I think she's a little spicy margarita.
She's a little spicy margarita. I
Mhm.
said that she would be a bourbon smash. I was staying in the bourbon family, and a bourbon
Oh, okay.
smash is like bourbon base, but it has berry
Yeah.
juice,
Oh,
lemon
yeah.
juice, simple syrup, top it with some seltzer.
Yeah.
All right.
Alright, what do you think about Fiasco the town?
I wanted Fiasco to be bourbon too, but like also they're so zany in Fiasco. Like the diner they would go to that would only serve locals,
Yeah,
and
I
then they
know.
only served coffee, water, and Kentucky specific soda. But I think that like it would have to be like a mint julep, like a
Uh,
derby sort of thing.
okay, I put that Fiasco would be instead of a whiskey sour, it would be a bourbon sour.
Mm. Okay.
So, it's got, like, a little bit of everything. It's got a little drama, it's got a little froth, it's got a little bit
Yep.
of the sweetness
Yeah, you gotta shake her
because
up. She's gotta work
yeah,
for her a
like,
little bit.
you but you have to work for it. Like, you
Yes.
go into that diner and you gotta work her. You gotta work
Yeah.
that diner lady until she actually is like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, you can have the sirloin."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I picked a bourbon sour.
I think that's a good one.
Grizz, what about Grandpa
Grizz.
Grizz?
Because, like, obviously, he could do bourbon on the rocks, of course, but I feel like Grizz could also just surprise you by drinking, like, the finest champagne or, like, a French 75 or something. Like, Grizz is, like, walking in bourbon in one hand, Dom Perignon in the other hand. Like, I feel
Oh
like
my
he's
god.
just
I
yeah.
love thinking about Grizz drinking Dom. That I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I did Grizz as an old fashioned,
Yes.
kind of
I
on the
mean, of course.
nose, but
Yeah.
okay,
I feel
wow.
like he
Love
is also
that.
drinking really good old fashioned, but also with the side of Dom. I don't know.
Okay, I love him drinking Dom. I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, what's your rating? I'm so excited to hear.
Okay, so I'm struggling because I've actually had so much fun talking about this book.
That was one of my things why we read romance books. They're fun. They're fun to read, they're fun to like, they're fun to to make fun of, they're fun to do
Yeah,
whatever. They're fun.
like, they're fun to talk about, and so I had this at a 3.5 stars because
Mhm.
I did really enjoy the environment, but like I
Mhm.
said, I think romance to me, for whatever reason, needs to be more high stakes.
Mhm.
You know, I think that's just the pessimist in me, um,
Gotta let it
and
go, Katie. Let it
I know
go.
I should talk to my therapist about this, but
I think that she'd say, "Let it go."
I know, like, when you were like, romance is supposed to give you hope, and I'm like, that's not what I'm
Hope.
taking from this. So I wanna say 3.5, but a really positive 3.5. I think if I was in another reading rut, I'd be like, "Yeah, let's read the next book.
Mhm. Well, I
Let's read the
absolutely
next
give it
book."
2 thumbs up. An enthusiastic 2 thumbs up.
No. No. Translation.
Well, I mean, I've read this entire series. So I've
So,
read all
Elise,
3
let me
books.
but let me ask you here.
It's so good.
Is this a
Yeah.
five-star read for you?
The thing is that I don't think about it that way, Katie. This is gonna be the problem. It was so good. I suggested you read it. I said Katie's gonna like this book as a romance book, and I would actually say the only reason why I wouldn't give it, like, 5 stars, like the top, was because my favorite book in the series is the 3rd book. But I would say that I loved all 3 of them, but if I had to rank them, it would probably go 3rd book, 1st book, 2nd book. But I would say that they were both 2 thumbs up. All of them are 2 thumbs up.
Okay, so I'm gonna for you, I'm gonna say that you give this 4 stars.
Okay, if that's what you say, then that's what I say.
Nope.
2 thumbs
You
up.
know what? Then you gotta start giving the more fucking thumbs. Like, do, like, 2 thumbs and 2 toes. Like, we need more. We need to know how you rate a book against other books. How do you not
I
know how to
mean,
prioritize?
well, it's not that it's prioritizing, it's that I read a lot of different books. Like, if I put Bourbon and Lies against a Court of Silver Flames, like, how am I supposed to compare the 2?
It's really simple. You give them a rating and you compare them.
But they're different.
Yeah, Elise, they're different. That's how ratings work.
But I'm not
Okay.
comparing apples to apples. Books okay, where I'll find a way. I'll find something to satisfy. I'll find a rating system to satisfy you. I don't know what it is, but I'll find it. All right, Katie, let them know what we're reading next. It's your pick.
All right, next time on Genred, we are reading Rose and Chains by Julie Soto, which is the republished version of the fan fiction The Auction, and I'm very excited about this one.
I'm excited too because I was a real fan fiction gal. when I was younger, and a Harry Potter fan fiction gal as well, but I was never Hermione. That wasn't the fan fiction I was going for.
Yeah.
So, and Hermione has really stood the test of time. And like this is the first of many. Manacled is getting
Yeah.
republished soon this fall as Alchemized, and
Yeah.
I find the whole practice of fan fiction fascinating. So I think it's going to be a fun read, and then also just something once we're done reading something that's fun to sort of like research and dig in a little bit.
Yeah, I think we'll have
Okay.
a little bit more info on fan fiction and how something goes from fan fiction to an actual published book.
Hmm.
So make sure you listen next time.
Yeah.
And remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, no genre shaming unless it's funny. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes, this is why we have this pod. I